Now, Flores happens to be where the Hobbit is said to have lived, that is, Homo Floresiensis. A long time ago, when the world was young, there was an island, and on that island there were many wonderful animals, a monstrously large lizard, a giant rat, a giant tortoise, and a pygmy elephant. There was also a little man who walked among the animals, and every so often he stabbed them with his little spear and he ate them. Still, he was only a little man, and his stomach wasn't very big at all, so it all kind of worked out. But then there arrived on the island a bigger man, and he had a bigger appetite, and he ate all the little elephants, and he ate all the big tortoises, and he drove the little man into the hills where he hid. Now this sounds like a Just So story, but the island was Flores, and the little man was a little hominid called Homo Florensiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit. The skeletal remains of the Hobbit were first discovered in October 2004 in this cave. The little elephant was a stegodon. It looked kind of like this, and it wasn't that much smaller than an Indian elephant, just slightly smaller. Here's a comparison. In the upper left, there's an Indian elephant and then a human, a regular modern human, followed by a stegodon and a Homo floresiensis hobbit for comparison purposes. The stegodon was about as large in comparison to the hobbit as the modern elephant is to the modern human. Anthropological studies have suggested that perhaps the Hobbit was not even very closely related to Homo sapiens. Instead, it might have been a variation of Homo erectus. Other people say it wasn't really a variation on Homo erectus or even a different species. It was, in fact, Homo sapiens, but a diseased Homo sapiens suffering from microcephalia. There are legends about little people on the island that are called Ibu Gogo, which means something like grandmother who eats anything raw. They're about 1 meter tall and hairy, and they communicate by murmuring to each other. But they're not very smart, and they don't know how to cook. And that is why they are said to kidnap children from time to time, to teach them how to use fire. We're in the Hobbit's cave now. And there's an article I'd like to bring to your attention that's in the New Scientist magazine, volume 186, number 2504. And it gives an account of the folklore around Flores surrounding the Ibu Gogo. The Naga people of Central Flores tell how in the 18th century, villagers disposed of the Ibu Gogo by tricking them into accepting gifts of palm fiber to make clothes. When the Ibu Gogo took the fiber into their cave, the villagers threw in a firebrand to set it alight. The story goes that all the inhabitants were killed, except perhaps for one pair who fled into the deepest forest and whose descendants may still be living there. There are a number of folklore stories about the Ibu Gogo. One has them kidnapping children, but the children are always able to escape because the Ibu Gogo are not very smart. The Ibu Gogo may very well, according to these stories, have been around at the time of the Portuguese arrival around 1600. But the reports of them dropped off after the 19th century. Well, our ship is